Hi everyone. How are you doing? Today channel Dan Sreyoun is going to present you about the 12 basic English tenses. The links below are to lessons for each of the 12 basic English tenses. For each tense we look at structure. How do we make the tense? Use, when and why do we use the tense? 1. Present simple. For example, I do. 2. Present continuous. For example, I am doing. 3. Present perfect. For example, I have done. 4. Present perfect continuous. For example, I have been doing. 5. Past simple. For example, I did do. 6. Past continuous. For example, I was doing. 7. Past perfect. For example, I had done. 8. Past perfect continuous. For example, I had been doing. 9. Future simple. For example, I will do. 10. Future continuous. For example, I will be doing. 11. Future perfect. For example, I will have done. 12. Future perfect continuous. For example, I will have been doing. Many English learners worry too much about tense. If you stop 100 native English speakers in the street and ask them about tense, one of them might give you an intelligent answer, if you were lucky. The other 99 would know little about terms like past perfect or present continuous. And they would know nothing about aspect, voice or mood. But they can all speak fluent English and communicate effectively. Of course, for ESL it helps to know about tenses, but don't become obsessed with them. Be like those native speakers. Speak naturally. Some grammarians consider that strictly speaking there are only 2 English tenses. Others argue 6 or other quantities. For the sake of simplicity, learners of English as a foreign or second language are usually taught that, taking into account aspect and future modals, there are 12 tenses in English.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? Today channel Dan Sreyoun is going to present you about present simple tense. The present simple tense is the most basic tense in English and uses the base form of the verb except for the verb be. The only change from the base is the addition of s for third person singular. How do we make the present simple tense? 1. Positive sentence. Form, subject plus verb, present simple plus object. For positive sentences, there is no auxiliary verb. We conjugate the main verb by adding s to the third person singular. For example, I go to school every day. She gets up early in the morning. 2. Negative sentence. Form, subject plus do or does plus not plus verb, base form plus object. The auxiliary verb do is conjugated in the present simple, do or does. The main verb is invariable in base form, base. For negative sentences, we insert not between the auxiliary verb and the main verb. For example, I don't go to school every day. She doesn't get up early in the morning. 3. Question sentence. Form, do or does plus subject plus verb, base form plus object. The auxiliary verb do is conjugated in the present simple, do or does. The main verb is invariable in base form, base. For question sentences, we exchange the subject and the auxiliary verb. For example, do you go to school every day? Does she get up early in the morning? Note, normally, for positive sentences we do not use the auxiliary verb do. But if we want to emphasize, stress something, we may use it. For example, instead of saying, I like your dress, we could say, I do like your dress, just to show how much we like it. Here are some more examples. I do wish you'd stop. I do apologize. You do look smart today. How do we use the present simple tense? We use the present simple to talk about 1. General time, action verbs. 2. Situations now, stative verbs. 3. General time and situations now, verb be. Present simple for general time. We use the present simple tense when 1. The action is general. 2. The action happens all the time, or habitually, in the past, present and future. 3. The action is not only happening now. 4. The statement is always true. Look at these examples. I live in New York. The moon goes round the earth. John drives a taxi. He does not drive a bus. We meet every Thursday. We do not work at night. Do you play football? Present simple for now. For stative verbs, we can use the present simple to talk about now. Stative verbs do not describe action. They describe state, and are verbs such as like, sound, belong to, need, seem. We can use these verbs with the present simple tense to talk about a situation at the present time, not general. For example, I want a coffee. That sounds interesting. Do you need some help? Present simple for general time and now. The verb be is always special. It is a stative verb, and we use it in the present simple tense to talk about now situations and about general situations. Look at these examples of the verb be in the present simple tense. Some are general and some are now. For example, I am not fat. Why are you so beautiful? Ram is tall. Note, this page shows the use of the present simple tense to talk about now and about general time. But note that there are other uses for the present simple, for example in the zero conditional or to talk about the future. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe, like and share to channel Dan Sreyoun in order to get more videos. Thank you.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? Today channel Dan Sreyoun is going to present you about present continuous tense. Present continuous tense, also called present progressive. We often use the present continuous tense in English. It is very different from the present simple tense, both in structure and in use. How do we make the present continuous tense? The structure of the present continuous tense is 1. Positive sentence. Form, subject plus am, is, or plus verb ing plus object. The main verb is invariable in present participle form, ing. For example, I'm listening to music on my iPod. She is cooking lunch. They are watching football match on TV. 2. Negative sentence. Form, subject plus am, is, or plus not plus verb ing plus object. For negative sentences we insert not between the auxiliary verb and the main verb. For example, I'm not listening to music on my iPod. She isn't cooking lunch. They aren't watching football match on TV. 3. Question sentence. Form, am, is, or plus subject plus verb ing plus object. For question sentences, we exchange the subject and the auxiliary verb. For example, are you listening to music on your iPod? Is she cooking lunch? Are they watching football match on TV? How do we use the present continuous tense? We use the present continuous to talk about 1. Action happening now, 2. Action in the future. Present continuous for action happening now. 1. For action happening exactly now. For example, I am eating my lunch. The action is happening now. 2. For action happening around now. The action may not be happening exactly now, but it is happening just before and just after now, and it is not permanent or habitual. For example, John is looking for a new job. The action is happening around now. Look at these examples. Muriel is learning to drive. I am living with my sister until I find an apartment. Present continuous for the future. We can also use the present continuous tense to talk about the future, if we add a future word. We must add or understand from the context a future word. Future words include, for example, tomorrow, next year, in June, at Christmas, etc. We only use the present continuous tense to talk about the future when we have planned to do something before we speak. We have already made a decision and a plan before speaking. For example, I am taking my exam next month. A firm plan or program exists now. The action is in the future. Look at these examples. We're eating at Joe's Cafe tonight. We've already booked the table. They can play tennis with you tomorrow. They're not working. When are you starting your new job? In these examples, a firm plan or program exists before speaking. The decision and plan were made before speaking. How do we spell the present continuous tense? We make the present continuous tense by adding ing to the base verb. Normally it's simple, we just add ing. But sometimes we have to change the word a little. Perhaps we double the last letter, or we drop a letter. Here are the rules to help you know how to spell the present continuous tense. 1. Basic rule, just add ing to the base verb. For example, work to working, play to playing, see to seeing, and so on. 2. Exception. If the base verb ends in consonant plus stressed vowel plus consonant, double the last letter. There are 5 vowels in English: letter A, E, I, O, U. For example, stop to stopping, run to running, cut to cutting, begin to beginner, prefer to preferring, and so on. Note that this exception does not apply when the last syllable of the base verb is not stressed. For example, open to opening, visit to visiting, and so on. 3. Exception. If the base verb ends in ie, change the ie to y. For example, lie to lying, die to dying, and so on. 4. Exception. If the base verb ends in vowel plus consonant plus e, omit the e. For example, come to coming, mistake to mistaking, and so on. Note that continuous tenses are also called progressive tenses. So the present continuous tense is sometimes called the present progressive tense. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe, like and share to channel Dan Sreyoun in order to get more videos. Thank you.
Hi everyone. How are you doing? Today channel Dan Sreyoun is going to present you about present perfect tense. The present perfect tense is a rather important tense in English, but it gives speakers of some languages a difficult time. That is because it uses concepts or ideas that do not exist in those languages. In fact, the structure of the present perfect is very simple. The problems come with the use of the tense. In addition, there are some differences in usage between British and American English. The present perfect tense is really a very interesting tense, and a very useful one. Try not to translate the present perfect into your language. Just try to accept the concepts of this tense and learn to think present perfect. You will soon learn to like the present perfect tense. How do we make the present perfect tense? The structure of the present perfect is 1. Positive sentence. Form. Subject plus have or has plus verb past participle plus object. The auxiliary verb have is conjugated in the present simple, have or has. The main verb is invariable in past participle form, et or irregular. For example, I've worked as a teacher of English for 5 years. She's bought her flat since 2010. 2. Negative sentence. Form. Subject plus have or has plus not plus verb past participle plus object. For negative sentences we insert not between the auxiliary verb and the main verb. For example, I haven't worked as a teacher of English for 5 years. She hasn't bought her flat since 2010. 3. Question sentence. Form. Have or has plus subject plus verb past participle plus object. For question sentences, we exchange the subject and the auxiliary verb. For example, have you worked as a teacher of English for 5 years? Has she bought her flat since 2010? How do we use the present perfect tense? This tense is called the present perfect tense. There is always a connection with the past and with the present. We use the present perfect to talk about 1. Experience, 2. Change, and 3. Continuing situation. Present perfect for experience. We often use the present perfect to talk about experience from the past. We are not interested in when you did something. We only want to know if you did it. For example, I have seen an alien. He has lived in Bangkok. Have you been there? We have never eaten caviar. Present perfect for change. We also use the present perfect to talk about a change, or new information. For example, I have bought a car. John has broken his leg. Has the price gone up? The police have arrested the killer. Note: Americans do use the present perfect but less than British speakers. Americans often use the past simple tense instead. An American might say, "Did you have lunch?" where a British person would say, "Have you had lunch?" Present perfect for continuing situation. We often use the present perfect to talk about a continuing situation. This is a state that started in the past and continues in the present and will probably continue into the future. This is a situation, not an action. We usually use for or since with this structure. For example, I have worked here since June. He has been ill for 2 days. How long have you known Tara for? For and since with present perfect tense. We often use for and since with perfect tenses. We use for to talk about a period of time, 5 minutes, 2 weeks, 6 years. We use since to talk about a point in past time, 9 o'clock, the 1st of January, Monday. Look at these example sentences using for and since with the present perfect tense. I have been here for 20 minutes. I have been here since 9 o'clock. John hasn't called for 6 months. John hasn't called since February. He has worked in New York for a long time. He has worked in New York since he left school. Note: for can be used with all tenses. Since is usually used with perfect tenses only. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe, like and share to channel Dan Sreyoun in order to get more videos. Thank you.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? Today channel Dan Sreyoun is going to present you about present perfect continuous tense. The present perfect continuous uses two auxiliary verbs together with a main verb. In this lesson we look at the structure and use of the present perfect continuous tense, as well as the use of for and since, followed by a quiz to check your understanding. Note that continuous tenses are also called progressive tenses. So the present perfect continuous tense is sometimes called the present perfect progressive tense. How do we make the present perfect continuous tense? The structure of the present perfect continuous tense is 1. Positive sentence. Form: subject plus have or has plus been plus verb ing plus object. The first auxiliary have is conjugated in the present simple have or has. The second auxiliary be is invariable in past participle form been. The main verb is invariable in present participle form ing. For example, I've been waiting for 1 hour. She's been talking too much. 2. Negative sentence. Form: subject plus have or has plus not plus been plus verb ing plus object. For negative sentences we insert not after the first auxiliary verb. For example, I haven't been waiting for 1 hour. She hasn't been talking too much. 3. Question sentence. Form: have or has plus subject plus been plus verb ing plus object. For question sentences, we exchange the subject and first auxiliary verb. For example, have you been waiting for 1 hour? Has she been talking too much? How do we use the present perfect continuous tense? This tense is called the present perfect continuous tense. There is usually a connection with the present or now. We use the present perfect continuous to talk about 1. Past action recently stopped. 2. Past action still continuing. Present perfect continuous for past action just stopped. We use the present perfect continuous tense to talk about action that started in the past and stopped recently. There is usually a result now. For example, I'm tired now because I've been running. Why is the grass wet now? Has it been raining? You don't understand now because you haven't been listening. Present perfect continuous for past action continuing now. We use the present perfect continuous tense to talk about action that started in the past and is continuing now. This is often used with for or since. I have been reading for 2 hours. I am still reading now. For example, we've been studying since 9 o'clock. We're still studying now. How long have you been learning English? You are still learning now. We have not been smoking. And we are not smoking now. For and since with present perfect continuous tense. We often use for and since with perfect tenses. We use for to talk about a period of time, 3 hours, 2 months, 1 decade. We use since to talk about a point in past time, 9 o'clock, the 1st of January, Monday. Look at these example sentences using for and since with the present perfect continuous tense. I have been studying for 3 hours. I have been watching TV since 7 p.m. Tara hasn't been feeling well for 2 weeks. Tara hasn't been visiting us since March. He has been playing football for a long time. He has been living in Bangkok since he left school. Note: for can be used with all tenses. Since is usually used with perfect tenses only. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe, like and share to channel Dan Sreyoun in order to get more videos. Thank you.
Hi everyone. How are you doing? Today channel Dan Sreyoun is going to present you about past simple tense. The past simple tense is sometimes called the preterite tense. We can use several tenses and forms to talk about the past, but the past simple tense is the one we use most often. How do we make the past simple tense? There are 2 basic structures for the past simple tense. 1. Positive sentences. Form: subject plus verb past simple plus object. For positive sentences, there is no auxiliary verb. The main verb is conjugated in the past simple, invariable, ed, or irregular. For example, I went to school yesterday. She bought a car last weekend. 2. Negative sentences. Form: subject plus did plus not plus verb base form plus object. The auxiliary is conjugated in the past simple, invariable, did. The main verb is invariable in base form, base. For negative sentences, we insert not between the auxiliary verb and main verb. For example, I didn't go to school yesterday. She didn't buy a car last weekend. 3. Question sentences. Form. Did plus subject plus verb, base form plus object. The auxiliary is conjugated in the past simple, invariable, did. The main verb is invariable in base form, base. For question sentences, we exchange the subject and the auxiliary verb. For example, did you go to school yesterday? Did she buy a car last weekend? How do we use the past simple tense? We use the past simple tense to talk about an action or a situation, an event, in the past. The event can be short or long. Here are some short events with the past simple. The car exploded at 9:30 a.m. yesterday. She went to the door. We did not hear the telephone. Did you see that car? Here are some long events with the past simple tense. I lived in Bangkok for 10 years. The Jurassic period lasted about 62 million years. We did not sing at the concert. Did you watch TV last night? Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe, like and share to channel Dan Sreyoun in order to get more videos. Thank you.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? Today channel Dan Sreyoun is going to present you about past continuous tense. The past continuous tense is an important tense in English. We use it to say what we were in the middle of doing at a particular moment in the past. Note that continuous tenses are also called progressive tenses. So the past continuous tense is sometimes called the past progressive tense. How do we make the past continuous tense? The structure of the past continuous tense is 1. Positive sentence. Form. Subject plus was or were plus verb ing plus object. The auxiliary verb be is conjugated in the past simple, was or were. The main verb is invariable in present participle form, ing. For example, they were watching TV. He was helping Mary. 2. Negative sentence. Form. Subject plus was or were plus not plus verb ing plus object. For negative sentences we insert not between the auxiliary verb and the main verb. For example, they weren't watching TV. He wasn't helping Mary. 3. Question sentence. Form. Was or were plus subject plus verb ing plus object. For question sentences, we exchange the subject and the auxiliary verb. For example, were they watching TV? Was he helping Mary? How do we use the past continuous tense? The past continuous tense expresses action at a particular moment in the past. The action started before that moment but has not finished at that moment. For example, yesterday I watched a film on TV. The film started at 7 p.m. and finished at 9 p.m. For example, at 8 p.m. yesterday, I was watching TV. When we use the past continuous tense, our listener usually knows or understands what time we are talking about. Look at these examples. I was working at 10 p.m. last night. They were not playing football at 9 a.m. this morning. What were you doing at 10 p.m. last night? What were you doing when he arrived? She was cooking when I telephoned her. We were having dinner when it started to rain. Ram went home early because it was snowing. We often use the past continuous tense to set the scene in stories. We use it to describe the background situation at the moment when the action begins. Often, the story starts with the past continuous tense and then moves into the past simple tense. Here is an example. James Bond was driving through town. It was raining. The wind was blowing hard. Nobody was walking in the streets. Suddenly, Bond saw the killer in a telephone box. Past continuous and past simple. We often use the past continuous tense with the past simple tense. We use the past continuous to express a long action. And we use the past simple to express a short action that happens in the middle of the long action. We can join the two ideas with when or while. In the following example, we have two actions. 1. Long action, watching TV, expressed with past continuous. 2. Short action, telephoned, expressed with past simple. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe, like and share to channel Dan Sreyoun in order to get more videos. Thank you.
Hi everyone. How are you doing? Today channel Dan Sreyoun is going to present you about past perfect tense. The past perfect tense is quite an easy tense to understand and to use. This tense talks about the past and the past. How do we make the past perfect tense? The structure of the past perfect tense is 1. Positive sentence. Form, subject plus ed plus verb, past participle, plus object. The main verb is invariable in past participle form, ed or irregular. For example, I had finished my work. She had gone to school. 2. Negative sentence. Form, subject plus ed plus not plus verb, past participle, plus object. For negative sentences we insert not between the auxiliary verb and the main verb. For example, I hadn't finished my work. She hadn't gone to school. 3. Question sentence. Form, had plus subject plus verb, past participle, plus object. For question sentences, we exchange the subject and the auxiliary verb. For example, had you finished my work? Had she gone to school? How do we use the past perfect tense? The past perfect tense expresses action in the past before another action in the past. This is the past in the past. For example, the train left at 9 a.m. We arrived at 9:15 a.m. When we arrived, the train had left. Look at some more examples. I wasn't hungry. I had just eaten. They were hungry. They had not eaten for 5 hours. I didn't know who he was. I had never seen him before. You can sometimes think of the past perfect tense like the present perfect tense, but instead of the time being now, the time is before. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe, like and share to channel Dan Sreyoun in order to get more videos. Thank you.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? Today channel Dan Sreyoun is going to present you about past perfect continuous tense. The past perfect continuous is another tense that expresses the past in the past. Note that continuous tenses are also called progressive tenses. So the past perfect continuous tense is sometimes called the past perfect progressive tense. How do we make the past perfect continuous tense? The structure of the past perfect continuous tense is 1. Positive sentence. Form, subject plus had plus been plus verb ing plus object. The first auxiliary verb, have, is conjugated in the past simple, invariable, had. The second auxiliary verb, be, is invariable in past participle form, been. The main verb is invariable in present participle form, ing. For example, I had been playing tennis. They had been waiting long. 2. Negative sentence. Form, subject plus had plus not plus been plus verb ing plus object. For negative sentences we insert not after the first auxiliary verb. For example, I hadn't been playing tennis. They hadn't been waiting long. 3. Question sentence. Form, had plus subject plus been plus verb ing plus object. For question sentences, we exchange the subject and the first auxiliary verb. For example, had you been playing tennis? Had they been waiting long? How do we use the past perfect continuous tense? The past perfect continuous tense is like the past perfect tense, but it expresses longer actions in the past before another action in the past. For example, Ram started waiting at 9 a.m. I arrived at 11 a.m. When I arrived, Ram had been waiting for 2 hours. Here are some more examples. John was very tired. He had been running. I could smell cigarettes. Somebody had been smoking. Suddenly, my car broke down. I was not surprised. It had not been running well for a long time. Had the pilot been drinking before the crash? You can sometimes think of the past perfect continuous tense like the present perfect continuous tense, but instead of the time being now, the time is before. For example, imagine that you meet Ram at 11 a.m. Ram says to you, I am angry. I have been waiting for 2 hours. Later, you tell your friends, Ram was angry. He had been waiting for 2 hours. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe, like and share to channel Dan Sreyoun in order to get more videos. Thank you. Hi everyone, how are you doing? Today channel Dan Sreyoun is going to present you about future simple tense. The future simple tense is often called the will tense because we make the future simple with the modal auxiliary will. How do we make the future simple tense? The structure of the future simple tense is 1. Positive sentence. Form: subject plus will plus verb base form plus object. For example, I'll study law at university next year. She'll cook curry for dinner. 2. Negative sentence. Form: subject plus will plus not plus verb base form plus object. For negative sentences in the future simple tense, we insert not between the auxiliary verb and main verb. For example, I won't study law at university next year. She won't cook curry for dinner. 3. Question sentence. Form: will plus subject plus verb base form plus object. For question sentences, we exchange the subject and auxiliary verb. For example, will you study law at university next year? Will she cook curry for dinner? How do we use the future simple tense? No plan. We use the future simple tense when there is no plan or decision to do something before we speak. We make the decision spontaneously at the time of speaking. Look at these examples. Hold on. I'll get a pen. We will see what we can do to help you. Maybe we'll stay in and watch television tonight. In these examples, we had no firm plan before speaking. The decision is made at the time of speaking. We often use the future simple tense with the verb to think before it. I think I'll go to the gym tomorrow. I think I will have a holiday next year. I don't think I'll buy that car. Prediction. We often use the future simple tense to make a prediction about the future. Again, there is no firm plan. We are saying what we think will happen. Here are some examples. It will rain tomorrow. People won't go to Jupiter before the 22nd century. Who do you think will get the job? Be. When the main verb is be, we can use the future simple tense even if we have a firm plan or decision before speaking. Examples. I'll be in London tomorrow. I'm going shopping. I won't be very long. Will you be at work tomorrow? Note that when we have a plan or intention to do something in the future, we usually use other tenses or expressions, such as the present continuous or going to. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe, like and share to channel Dan Sreyoun in order to get more videos. Thank you.
Hi everyone. How are you doing? Today channel Dan Sreyoun is going to present you about future continuous tense. The future continuous tense is often used in English as a way to talk about something happening at a given point in the future. How do we make the future continuous tense? The structure of the future continuous tense is 1. Positive sentence. Form: subject plus will plus be plus verb ing plus object. For example, I'll be working at 10 a.m. She'll be using the car. 2. Negative sentence. Form: subject plus will plus not plus be plus verb ing plus object. For negative sentences in the future continuous tense, we insert not between will and be. For example, I won't be working at 10 a.m. She won't be using the car. 3. Question sentence. Form: will plus subject plus be plus verb ing plus object. For question sentences, we exchange the subject and will. For example, will you be working at 10 a.m.? Will she be using the car? How do we use the future continuous tense? The future continuous tense expresses action at a particular moment in the future. The action will have started before that moment but it will not have finished at that moment. For example, tomorrow I will start work at 2 p.m. and stop work at 6 p.m. At 4 p.m. tomorrow, I will be working. When we use the future continuous tense, our listener usually knows or understands what time we are talking about. Look at these examples. I will be playing tennis at 10 a.m. tomorrow. They won't be watching TV at 9 p.m. tonight. What will you be doing at 10 p.m. tonight? What will you be doing when I arrive? She will not be sleeping when you telephone her. We'll be having dinner when the film starts. Take your umbrella. It will be raining when you return. Note that continuous tenses are also called progressive tenses. So the future continuous tense is sometimes called the future progressive tense. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe, like and share to channel Dan Sreyoun in order to get more videos. Thank you.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? Today channel Dan Sreyoun is going to present you about future perfect tense. The future perfect tense is quite an easy tense to understand and use. The future perfect talks about the past in the future. How do we make the future perfect tense? The structure of the future perfect tense is 1. Positive sentence. Form: subject plus will plus have plus verb past participle plus object. For example, I'll have finishing work by 11 a.m. She'll have forgotten me by then. 2. Negative sentence. Form. Subject plus will plus not plus have plus verb past participle plus object. For negative sentences in the future perfect continuous tense, we insert not between will and have. For example, I won't have finishing work by 11 a.m. She won't have forgotten me by then. 3. Question sentence. Form. Will plus subject plus have plus verb past participle plus object. For example, will you have finishing work by 11 a.m.? Will she have forgotten me by then? How do we use the future perfect tense? The future perfect tense expresses action in the future before another action in the future. This is the past in the future. For example, the train will leave the station at 9 a.m. You will arrive at the station at 9:15 a.m. When you arrive, the train will have left. The train will have left when you arrive. Look at some more examples. You can call me at work at 8 a.m. I will have arrived at the office by 8. They will be tired when they arrive. They will not have slept for a long time. Mary won't be at home when you arrive. Really, where will she have gone? You can sometimes think of the future perfect tense like the present perfect tense, but instead of your viewpoint being in the present, it is in the future. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe, like and share to channel Dan Sreyoun. Thank you.
Hi everyone. How are you doing? Today channel Dan Sreyoun is going to present you about future perfect continuous tense. The future perfect continuous tense looks at the past from the future. How do we make the future perfect continuous tense? The structure of the future perfect continuous tense is 1. Positive sentence. Form. Subject plus will plus have plus been plus verb ing plus object. For example, I'll have been learning accounting at university. She'll have been working in a restaurant. 2. Negative sentence. Form. Subject plus will plus not plus have plus been plus verb ing plus object. For negative sentences in the future perfect continuous tense, we insert not between will and have. For example, I won't have been learning accounting at university. She won't have been working in a restaurant. 3. Question sentence. Form. Will plus subject plus have plus been plus verb ing plus object. For question sentences, we exchange the subject and will. For example, will you have been learning accounting at university? Will she have been working in a restaurant? How do we use the future perfect continuous tense? The future perfect continuous tense is like the future perfect tense, but it expresses longer actions or states extending up to some specific event or time in the future. For example, Ram starts waiting at 9 a.m. I am late and cannot arrive before 10 a.m. Ram will have been waiting for an hour by the time I meet him. Ram will have been waiting for 1 hour when I arrive. Notice that the long action or state can start at any time in the past, present or future, but of course it always ends in the future. Next Monday we will have been living here for exactly 5 years. Look at these examples. He'll be tired when he gets here. He'll have been traveling all day. How long will Joe have been working when he retires? Next month I'll have been studying Chinese for 2 years. Will you have been working when I arrive? He won't have been studying long enough to qualify. Next week Jane is going to swim from England to France. By the time she gets to France she'll have been swimming non-stop for over 13 hours. Note that continuous tenses are also called progressive tenses. So the future perfect continuous tense is sometimes called the future perfect progressive tense. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe, like and share to channel Dan Sreyoun in order to get more videos. Thank you.